Hello, welcome to the Davenport Public Library's Richardson-Sloane Special Collections Preservation Workshop. Today, we're going to give you a face box tutorial, just like the ones you see on the screen. So, what is a face box? It's a simple, relatively inexpensive box designed to protect books, scrapbooks, albums, and similar items. They are made to be temporary protection for books if we're not ready to try to fix them yet. But sometimes they become permanent because we don't have the materials that we need to conserve a book. So what do we need to make a face box? The kind of face box we are making is made out of two boards. They're acid-free boards. They're between 1 and 2 millimeters thick. So they are stiff, but they're still flexible, so you can shape it into a box. We need a pencil, and I need an eraser because I make a lot of mistakes. A foam folder to make the creases in the folds. Scissors, a mat knife or X-Acto knife, a cutting mat. Mine has the measurements on it, so it's very nice. You can also use a ruler or a yardstick if you have a bigger book or a smaller book. The board, like I talked about, double-sided pressure-sensitive tape. This is so you can tape together both pieces of board to create the box. You're gonna want to have some scrap paper or maybe even a calculator so that you can figure out the measurements. You do have to figure out what half of, let's say, 23.5 centimeters might be. So I use a calculator. A T-square might be helpful. I use it to make sure that my lines are straight. And also you could make a measuring box so that the measurements on the book are more accurate. And this is what the box will look like after you've made all of your cuts and folds. So these lines are where you're going to fold the box. The solid line is where you make a cut so that you can close the book with the tab. So you need to know the width of the legs. Also, the thickness of the book, so sign. And also the thickness of the board itself, which is not too thick, but you are going to need a little space. Okay. Now we're going to show you how to make the measurements and the cuts on the board. I'm going to switch to my camera. Okay, we're going to measure the length, the width, and the height of the book, plus the thickness of the board. And we're going to use centimeters so that they're more exact. And I am going to write down what those measurements are. I'm going to use this measuring box that my boss made for me so that I can get a more accurate measurement. I'm going to push book against the edge of the box here. It says it's 14 centimeters. That's the width. Do the length. Length is 22 centimeters. And you're gonna have to know what half of the length is. And you got very lucky because half of 22 is 11. I'm glad I picked this book. And now we're gonna figure out the height of the book. This one's not very thick at all. Looks like it is 2.5. 2.5. And we're all done with our measuring box, so we can put it away. All right, now we need to make some marks on our cardboard. I got 2 pieces of cardboard here that I pre-cut so that they are more manageable. Usually these are way bigger than this. I think I can get the whole book with just one of these. Yeah, let's try that. Okay, so first we need to figure out the width of the book. So it was 14 centimeters. So we're gonna mark 14 centimeters box. Make sure that it is straight. That's 14 right there. Then we're going to figure out half the length of the book, which is 11 centimeters. This one. Okay. Then we have to measure the height plus the thickness of the board. So the height, it was very small. It was 2.5. Then for the board itself, I'm just gonna add another half there. Okay, so I traced over all my marks here so that I know exactly where to cut. Before I cut, I'm going to add a little bit more so that I can make a tab to close my book. I'm just gonna make it that. I'm going to, it's 22. That's the length. So I'm gonna try to get right in the middle. Well, so I want trapezoid shape. That's what we call that. So 9 and 13. 13. 10 and 12. So then I'm going to trace the line. And that's going to be my tab. Okay, now we're ready to cut. I'm going to use this knife. Try not to cut it. A T-square so that I know that it is straight. I'm going to line it up with my table here, and then I have my cutting mat all lined up on the edges on my table. To make your fingers out of the way. Okay. I'm gonna go over it a couple of times. It is a thick board, not too thick that I can't bend it, but thick enough to protect my book. So I think that's about it. Yeah. This one. This one. My second one. Extra. Okay. So this one, I have to trim it a little bit more. Okay, now we're gonna cut it out. A little tab for closing the box. This one, I'm gonna use this little X-Acto knife and over go. Your fingers. Yay! Yes. Okay, now on the other side, we're gonna mark where we're gonna make a little hole, a little tap to go into, but we're not gonna cut it right now. Figure out where it's supposed to be. So it's between 9 and 13. That one. This one needs to be trimmed too. A little bit. So now it's time to make the holes. And first we're going to use our ruler. Line it up with my marks. This side. There. Same thing with this one. Now when we hope it worked out. So we'll take our book here. This is the long part. Now, this is width. Okay, yeah, it'll work. Like that. Okay, so we're gonna pause right now, and I am going to take my bone folder and score the lines here to make it. Okay, so we'll use our bone folder to score all the folds here. Now we have to attach this board to this board. So that's when we use our two-sided pressure sensitive tape that we use for encapsulating if you watch that workshop. Scissors for this one. Before I attach them down, I need to make a cut on this fold so that my tab can close. So, to use the smaller exacto. Watch your fingers. Tab, the hole, we got the tape on. Just remove the paper backing. The length. Very carefully line it up. Fold. Press on it. That's what it's pressure. Okay, so trim the tab. Yeah, I think this will work. So let's put the book in. Here's my book. About to show you how broken it is and why we want to put it in the board. So, book in. That side. This side. This is how it's gonna go on the shelf. So we have our time label. And then we have our book label, title in the author, and I am gonna put it on this side so we can read it when we're looking at the book on the shelf. I can't believe that worked. Yay. Okay, now let's get back to our slideshow and finish up. What I was showing you before. Yeah, we went through all that. That's all we did. That's all the stuff we did. Yes. Okay, and this is the part I just showed you where we put the pressure sensitive double-sided tape on the board. That is the one that says the width one with the tab. And then this is what it looks like when it's finished with the little tab that goes in on the side there so that it's closed. And then I think I have some tips. I have a few tips for you that have helped me since I have messed up so many of these. Make sure you're reading that ruler correctly. If it's a half centimeter, a whole centimeter, the long ones are the whole and the shorter ones are half. And then make sure that you are dividing in half correctly. So that's why I use a calculator if I need to. Luckily, this one was only 22 centimeters, so that was easy for me. And the centimeters are more accurate, especially this tiny little book. This is probably the smallest one that I've done. And make sure the board is straight on your table before you make all your measurements and the markings and all your cuts. I recommend using the T-square if you are not very steady with your hands, you're a little shaky, and use the markings on the cutting mat to help you. You saw me putting the spine label and the call number on the book, and that is on the side that has a slit for the tab. That way it's easier to handle the book, to put it in the shelf and pull it out of the shelf so that it doesn't get damaged. And you can make your own measuring box. That is optional. My boss made it by for me. It helped me because I have to make quite a few of these. So it just saves me time and I can make sure that I have the right measurements. So there's a picture of what the measuring box looks like. Next slide. And it's just a cardboard box, like an Amazon box that you got your goodies delivered in. And then they ask for a T-square, not a T-square, one of those regular squares. Those are square. We didn't have one, but we used two rulers and made them into an L. And then you tape that to two pieces of cardboard, and then that's what you use to squeeze the book up to the edge there so that you get the right measurements. The first time I tried it, I wasn't measuring the book correctly because they were thicker and they were falling apart, so it was hard to figure out how big it was. So yeah, that'll help you. And I think that's it. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe to the Davenport Public Library on YouTube. Like us on Facebook. We have our own Facebook. The library has one, but also Davenport Special Collections on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you. We'll see you next time with another preservation workshop.